I had a neat thought while we were on break.
I think they're taking it.
Oh, I won't say exactly.
Say these stuff. Tim was fixing to tell us. I said, remember where they're taping. He said, I won't tell you that.
You're on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, here's somebody. Everybody hear us?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good, I can hear.
Okay.
Are we ready, Scott?
Yes, so we're recording it.
Okay. Call to order the workshop of Van Zandt County Commissioners Court on Wednesday, June the 8th, 2022. 11:13 a.m. Announced quorum is established, all members of court present. Workshop, no public comments, no one here. No one is signed up for public comments. Item number 3, grant work projects workshop. Let's go. You want to start, Chad? Where we at?
Yeah, and Barry's here to give an update on the radio project as well, but what I put in front of y'all here, Jimmy, is an email correspondence with me and Barry and William about the RFP process and how it's got but we can't just release it. Just because RFP's turned in, don't mean it's public record. It's not public record till we actually award a vendor and get them under contract. And I do believe William and Barry are both verified this, correct, gentlemen?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And so the reason I brought that to show you is we have the RFP to be turned back in on the 24th, and then we're going 2 weeks later on July, I believe it's 6th and 7th. So we'll let them come make their presentations to the scoring committee. And so that's what the next one is. This non-disclosure agreement that Barry provided to me is for all the members of the scoring committee, so they understand that we can't discuss any of these presentations outside of people that are at the presentation. Because it still has, even the presentation is considered part of the sealed bid, we can't reveal them to others. And so I'm just informing y'all this is the plan is to have them all sign a non-disclosure agreement. Anybody that's not an elected official.
Okay, what about, I know Andy Reese has indicated some interest in attending, and I think it would be very, very beneficial for him to be there.
And I agree, and especially since he'll be the judge during the implementation phases of all this.
Right.
He needs to understand what's going on. And so I want to let him come into that as well. But it kind of brings another question.
As long as he signs it.
Well, that's kind of the thought. So he understands the importance of this.
Now, tell me what is confidential about this?
Well, what's confidential is that,
Up there where we can see them. And
can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so during this phase of the project, you know, this is the evaluating of the proposals and deciding which vendor the county is going to select to provide the radio system. So if any information about one of the vendor's proposals gets in the hands possibly of the other vendor, that could create a problem before the final selection and the contract is executed. It's more than likely that during the selection process, we may ask the vendors for a best and final offer, which means that we might say, well, we asked for something here. We want to make that part of the system. This was an option. We want to make it part of the system. We want to rework the pricing, or not the pricing, but the numbers for some of the subscribers and make them, you know, this tier of radio versus another tier of radio. So there's things that go on there, and we don't want one of the other vendors knowing kind of what the other vendors proposed, especially when it comes to pricing. So we want to keep all that. We're not saying, at some point in time that's not made available, but up until that time of selecting the vendor and getting them under contract, that information needs to stay very close to the chest there. And we've seen projects where this information gets leaked either to another vendor or to the media or something like that, and it jeopardizes the procurement process.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we want to get the best price and the best system for the county, and this is the best way to ensure that.
Yeah, I agree with everything Barry just said.
Huh? What'd you say? You said you
I
agree.
just echoing what Barry said. That's
Okay.
correct for sure.
Well, so when they turn the proposals in on what day?
24.
When all of them turn the proposals in, then that's not open to the public.
No,
Okay.
it's a sealed proposal. And I anticipate that I'll be there that day to pick up, our hard copy and electronic copy of all the proposals that are submitted, so we can start, getting on our review. And then we'll be having meetings shortly thereafter with, the selection committee. I think that was verified today during the commissioner's court, actually. That information will stay.
So when will the public be able to see the proposal?
The public will be able to see the proposals once a vendor is selected and a contract between that vendor and the county has been fully executed. So, roughly, let's say maybe, it just really depends how many best and final offers rounds we go through. But let's say maybe 5 to 6 weeks after the proposals are due.
So
Yeah.
okay, so to me, you're saying that the public will never get to see all the proposals, just the one that is selected.
I'll have to, I think maybe all the information might be available. I'll need to check on that piece of it. And William, do you have insight on that at this point?
Yeah, we could, that's up to us if we want to make it available, if we want to post it, after on the Van Zandt County website, after the selection has been made and the contract has been entered.
I don't think that's what you're asking, to post it. I think
No.
he's asking if somebody turned in an open record
Right.
request.
I mean, if they want to come in and see the other proposals, will they be able to?
No.
After we have selected the vendor, and after we have signed the contract and everything, then if somebody turned in an open records request to see the other ones, that would be available, would it not?
That is my understanding of the process. Yeah, the state procurement code. And we had, reached out to William for the federal portion of this, just to verify that there wasn't something that was different versus the state of Texas versus federal, since it is federal grant
Yeah.
fund.
So that they could, it might help them in their next, bid process and everything.
Probably what you're thinking about, Mr. Melvin, is like our bids for seed.
Right.
Once they're open, people can look at them because they can't change those prices.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But these prices can be negotiated and changed.
Because like what he's saying, okay, here's your price,
yeah,
but they may come back and add something to it and say, okay, we need your final proposal. We need a final. This may not be the final proposal.
so we can negotiate with each vendor.
Yes, there's the great thing about the RFP process is that, we've asked for some different pricing for some different options and for some different types of radios, different levels of radios, classes we call them actually. And once we get these proposals in and kind of see what the numbers are looking like, there's going to be a little bit of jockeying and saying, hey, we want to get this. We can afford this. With this over here, maybe not. And we work that out and we go back to the vendors and ask for a best and final offer from, maybe it's a short list of vendors, or maybe it's all the vendors that submitted proposals. And sorry about that. And we, at that point, would get updated pricing and information from the vendors that we asked that from. And that would be part of that final decision on the vendor. Chad mentioned a good part of this is, and I think I mentioned this during a commissioner's court 2 or 4 weeks ago, that the proposals are kind of like a resume. And, before you hire that person, you definitely want to do an interview. So we'll be having a chance for selected vendors to come in and give a presentation, and really you guys to get a good feel of who they are, what their team is, who are the people involved, and have an opportunity to really ask them questions and get clarifications and talk to them during probably a 2 or 3 hour meeting with each of the vendors that you asked to come in. And then after that, the final selection will be made. And the information about who actually presented or submitted a proposal, maybe that information can be provided. I'll have to check on that. Sandy, do you know if just the names of the firms that submit proposals could be provided earlier on, but definitely not an open record act to see the whole proposal, including the pricing and things like that?
I'll have to check on them.
Okay.
All during this time.
But we want to make sure.
Yes.
All during this time, one vendor is not going to know what the other vendor's proposal is.
That's correct.
That is correct. Yes, absolutely.
And we got into a situation once before where after they scored everything, then one of them come in and said, well, I want to know, and they wanted more or less, or what I thought, justification of the scoring.
Okay.
And so today, and talking to Chad this week, we brought it before the commissioner's court to approve the scoring committee. So that in case it ever come into question, okay, if you're gonna question the scoring, or you're gonna question, well, who even put these people in charge of doing the scoring? We approved it in commissioner's court today.
Great.
That committee.
Okay.
That came in.
And to clarify even another level here, there is a whole section in the RFP document that was released on May 11th that clearly calls out how the scoring occurs. There's different percentages for, experience. And of course, there's a percentage associated with cost. Cost is very important. And then, whether or not the vendor is meeting all the needs and requirements that are specified in the RFP. So there's different, that scoring out of the 100, let's call it 100 points or 100%, those breakdowns are clearly defined in the RFP. The vendors know right now how those points will be allocated. And it's up to the committee to look through the proposals and do that scoring.
Okay.
And the interviews play into that as well. The vendor presentations, that is.
Any other questions from commissioners? Sandy, you have anything?
No.
Okay, go.
I've got a question now.
Okay.
I should have asked it during court. Now, this scoring committee, they just bring their recommendation back to the court, and the court makes the decision of who
Yes,
we're going with.
Yes.
Is that not
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
yeah, we just bringing the scores and how they fell, just like we're done with the dispatch.
Don't you think you should play a part in the scoring?
Our firm,
Yes.
we can, if you guys want us to, or we can guide the committee through the process and answer all the technical questions. That's what we're really here to do, is bridge that technical gap between you guys and the vendors.
Well, you're
And
supposed
so-
to be objective.
We can be on the scoring committee if you guys would like us to, or we can just handhold you guys through that process and make sure everybody on the committee understands what they're looking at and trying to score. You know, we don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable that they're having to score something that they're not really sure what they're trying to score. So we will absolutely be part of the process or part of the scoring. It's purely y'all's decision on that piece of it.
I would like for you to be on the scoring process because I think you'd be an unbiased person to look over all the proposals.
He wasn't.
We- We are gonna look through those proposals. Yes.
Therefore, we get there.
Okay. We can
Yeah.
put it on the agenda.
I was just under the assumption that Barry's group would be there.
Yeah, I think they need to be part of the scoring.
We will absolutely be part of the scoring if you want us to. So count us in. We were going to review the proposals from A to Z anyway and give our opinions to the committee and to the court, you know, as needed, especially once we come to that final end of the project and a selection is being presented to the court. So yes, absolutely. We're going to be at all those vendor presentations. We'll be at all the committee, the selection committee meetings. So we are perfectly fine in scoring it as well.
Okay, because I don't see a whole lot of difference. Hey, whether you lead the committee or you actually sign a sheet yourself.
Right.
You were gonna lead them, guide them, and do your recommendations to the committee.
Hmm.
Now, so but if y'all want to add them,
I would like to add it.
Okay, we'll need to do that 2 weeks
It's
from
whatever
today.
the court wants to do.
Well, I'm good with it. I don't think there's a problem with it.
We are perfectly fine. We've done it both ways. We've done it both ways. So we are good in participating in that scoring and answering, of course, answering any questions along the way. So.
But if you're actually doing the score, you are still going to be leading the committee.
Yes, we will. We want to, what we'll probably do is a summary of each proposal that's submitted by the various firms and present that to the committee, because again, these proposals are going to be, there's a lot of information in them. They're probably going to be 3-inch binders. And so that's a lot of information to look at. Yes, you can go straight to the pricing sheet and look at the bottom price, but that can be misleading because we've asked for a lot of different prices and we need to figure out what we want to get off that menu.
That's why I want you on the scoring committee.
Okay,
We will be on it.
I can't say we'll put you on it, but it will be on the next commissioner's court.
Gotcha.
Like with the dispatch furniture. They sat down, they had everything, well, he's talking about breaking down now. Granted, it'll be what he's doing with the P25 RP, will be on a much larger scale than the furniture RP. But he had
Yes.
it all broke down. We've done a conference with the group and he walked us through every step of it along the way. And so he done a fine job with that. And I'm sure he intends to do the same thing with the radio project.
That's exactly right, Chad. What we did is kind of a spreadsheet that was a compare and contrast of the three, in this case of the dispatch furniture, the 3 proposals. And we said that, you know, this company did this, they're proposing this, and the third company's proposing this. And we actually broke down the pricing and kind of compared that as well, the different parts and pieces. We even went through and verified that all the information that William was wanting from the use of the ARPA funds, that all those checks were made, that they were, you know, in the SAM system, and they provided the information on the conflict of interest and the lobbying forms and all that stuff too. So we will do exactly the same thing, and Chad's exactly right. This one's on a much larger scale and a lot more details and parts and pieces, but we will do the exact same thing here.
Any other questions? Sam?
The only other thing I really need to know from y'all, because when we get the presentations, we're doing those. I'm on the committee, so I'm actually gonna be there. Well, that would only allow one more of y'all to be there without us needing to call up an actual meeting and post. So if y'all would all like to be there for the presentation while they're presenting the scoring committee, we'll need to post it and do an executive session. If y'all don't want to be there, then the scoring committee can handle it. I just need to know which way y'all want to go on
I'm gonna try to be there, but I'm not promising I'll be there yet. I don't know yet.
I think we need to.
But I'm gonna try to be there just to listen.
I think we need to be there, but do we need to have it in the executive session?
that. Well, if we post a
Is that
public
right?
meeting,
Do we? Okay, well,
You can post a non-voting meeting that's a gathering.
but it's still open to the public, and that means any vendor can set any other vendor presentation. So that's why the only way you could limit it would be to do it as an executive session. That's why I'm asking, do y'all want to set these up for the entire court to be a part of the executive session, or do you want it the scoring committee?
I'm gonna try to be there.
I'm gonna try to be there, so that makes,
That's
that's
three.
It's gotta be exact.
And I don't need to be
It's
there.
gotta be there executive session.
I trust you.
I'm gonna- Something, something may come up.
Because it's
I may
gonna
not
be pretty
but I'm gonna
lengthy.
try to be. Yes, it's gonna be very.
I'm thinking, talking to Chad, it may be 3 to 4 hours per vendor.
Yep, and right now we're looking at least 3 vendors.
Yeah, it could stretch. It typically we would do one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And then, yes, if it's 3 vendors, then we would do another one the next morning or the next afternoon, something along that lines. What we typically do when it's not in an executive session, it's a closed meeting that's invitation only. And so the committee would be there. And then, of course, the vendors would be there. And then once the vendors finish, we would probably have at least 30 minutes or an hour between the next vendor showing up. And so they would leave and the next vendor would show up. Because yes, you don't want it open to the public because one of the vendors would want to come in and listen to the other vendor's presentation. And that again would be almost like the Open Records Act issue.
Will the vendors presented here in the court, or is it gonna be on Zoom?
Oh, they'll be in present, and that's a good question, what location you want to use. You want to use this room? You want to use that meeting room at the West Point Airport where we've done the other meeting? Where do you want to gather at to have this?
I had rather y'all gather somewhere else.
Yes, I would
Well,
like. to try this.
I don't know how to, I think you've seen what I got.
Use the Will's Point, if we can use it, the Will's Point, deal.
I think it'll be available.
You got a little pool.
But let me ask this, if we use it, could it be on Zoom for our office?
Invitation only, but.
Is there a way to?
No, Zoom
I'm
for
just-
just court members.
And are you, Mr. Black, are you talking about commissioners court meetings being invitation only?
No, the vendor presentations, typically when those occur during the procurement process for one of these larger systems, it's invitation only as far as we would say, okay, vendor X, we want you to come from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock to give your presentation to the committee or the folks that are going to be there. Typically, it's the selection committee. And that's when I say it's kind of invitation only. It's not open to the public, just whoever wants to come in and listen, because we're trying to keep that information private and to make those critical decisions in this procurement.
And I'm not understanding the invitation only. As far as I know, the only kind of meetings we have is either open or closed. I mean,
I think what he's referring to, if we don't do it as a closed executive session, if we just do it as the selection committee, then we'll make that an invitation only. That's not a public meeting.
okay, and you make it invitation only, and they were the only ones invited, and then all of a sudden, one of the other ones walked in the door, what are you gonna do?
Stop everything and ask them for the leave. That's not a public meeting. That's just a scoring committee. That's not a meeting of the court. Now, as the court, a big executive session, you'll follow your executive session rules.
Yeah, that's what, I guess that's where I'm getting involved now.
So this having just commissioners other than Brad watching it through Zoom, not actually participating, does that no longer make it open meeting?
But you put it on Zoom and anybody at any time can walk in your office.
Right. it's out of that closed meeting.
Right.
I can't hardly walk in my office. I barely can get in my office.
You need to clean it up.
Need to get some of that trash out there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Some
Steve.
of it is legal.
That's a good point. If,
Can you believe it?
if the members of the court watching through Zoom, that make it a forum.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does, yeah.
yeah.
Other meetings, but
Here.
really what you do in the session.
How do you usually handle these, Barry? Or we'll wait
Say
till
that
the
again?
judge gets back, so we answer. Here, when the judge gets back, I was asking, how do y'all usually handle these?
Okay,
Like I said,
Yeah,
let the judge get
Let
back
the
before
judge
they-
get back.
Statutes for what you say to follow.
Yeah.
That to do it for multiple things.
Judge, I just asked him a question, how does he normally do this?
do these.
Done it with numerous counties and cities.
Yeah, so normally the way that it's done, it's not an executive session. It's typically just a meeting that's, like I said, invitation only. It's not advertised anyway, newspaper or anything like that. So it'd just be like having a meeting amongst a private group of people, let's say, and we would have a venue where, of course, the vendors can come in. They're going to want to do a PowerPoint type presentation. So they're going to want a screen that they can, show their PowerPoint up on as they go through and talk about their proposal and why they're so good and why you should
Right.
select them.
Well, and I hate to interrupt, but
No.
when you say you do that, you still have to post it. I mean, if you're gonna have a quorum there, you're gonna have to post this meeting.
Yes, I would say that,
The meeting, the only commissioner present would be Chad, that I record it and give it access back to the other commissioners to look at.
Well, that may be questions they have, is what I don't know. What it,
Barry, when
I get that you could post the meeting,
Mhm.
have commissioners here and have invitation only.
Invitation only, yes, yes.
And if somebody walks in,
It says discussion of contract being negotiated. Is a reason for a closed executive session.
yeah, that's what I think.
You're looking at a discussion of contract being, so you can go into public session. You do it executive.
I think you could do an executive session, then that way nothing can be discussed
Right,
about the three in there. I would be more comfortable if it was a closed executive session. It's posted, closed executive session. It's number one, we cover the posting. We're not trying to hide anything, but it's closed, no one can go in. I think if you open it up to invitation only, even though it could work, if somebody walked in, okay, you're having a meeting, I don't know that you could put them out.
yeah, that would be a little bit of an issue. You're correct, absolutely. So I like the executive session because it does provide that flexibility or the nice feature of being able to control who is in the room. And we go that route. Now, can that be somewhere other than the courtroom there, though?
Absolutely.
you can,
Yes.
You can? Okay, great. Okay.
That can be, and it would probably, I think, I don't know if you plan on going, Tim, I'm not planning.
I don't know.
Okay, he may. So, I mean,
But-
you'll have a quorum there.
it may or may not, but if it is, that's right.
You're
Yeah.
You're covered. I would be more comfortable there. Then that way, okay, I'm covered. We posted that it will be at the airport if that's available and that works out. We put that there. And then it's closed executive. If Virgil's there, he would be conducting it. And then you can control who's in there. And then I like it because whatever's discussed, no one, and as you know, I'm leaving at the end of the year. and the next county judge has requested to be there.
Yes.
But he can't walk out there and discuss stuff because it was in executive.
Okay. I like it.
Put that on Zoom.
No, and you would not,
Pay the meeting president.
that's right, it would not be
July 6th
recorded.
to 7th.
Yes.
Court, one session in the next
Okay.
2 days.
I like that plan.
Or the next day. would
Yeah,
be
I would
There's a risk of deleting it if it's recorded or on Zoom.
That's right, but if you go into executive session, it will all recorders off, no recordings whatsoever, nothing to be shared outside, it's over, and you can control who's in it.
So what happens if a quorum doesn't show up? We can't open it up and go into executive session.
And you carry on.
Yep.
You carry on with your scoring committee.
Just because they're there doesn't mean they're a participant in the meeting, really.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? That all, Ted?
Very,
I think we're moving. I think we're moving.
Yeah, that sounds good. I've got a little quick update I can run through of kind of all the different things that have gone on in the last 2 weeks and where we're going. If you guys want me, I'll run through that. So the dispatch console furniture, I think we're going to get the documents signed off on this week, and Chad provided me, Judge, your email address to sign off on those documents. I will confirm that those documents are perfect before you sign. So I'll let you know. Hopefully those come tomorrow or today, today or tomorrow. So for the dispatch center upgrades, we worked on putting together a statement of work for upgrading the electrical and some grounding over there to get ready for the new dispatch center area. We're working on getting that to finalized and getting that over to an electrician to quote that work. We also worked in putting together, did the interlocal agreement for the ETCOG grant funds, was that approved
we
today?
passed it today.
Okay, great. Okay. So we put together, we worked with Chad and then also the ETCOG. We had a call and we put together some budgetary itemized costs that was able to be used to develop that interlocal agreement. So that's good to hear. I put together a schedule, a tentative schedule, and I'm going to firm that up and extend it even further for kind of what needs to be done in that dispatch center to get it ready with regards to cleaning it out, getting the sheetrock, some holes fixed, getting some doors reversed, and the electrical and the utility upgrades so that it's ready once the furniture shows up. So we're kind of working on that. As far as the P25 RFP goes, of course, it was released on May 11th. We had our pre-proposal conference on May 26th at the airport. We had 26 people attend that meeting. 15 of them were radio vendors. So there were about 11 people from the county, including Trot. William was there as well. He was on Zoom, but he attended. So since that time, we've released 5 addendums to the RFP. These are clarifications to the information that was included in the RFP. One of them dealt with the dispatch console furniture and the layout. One of them talked about getting access to mandatory buildings starting today through Friday so that the vendors could go into those buildings and kind of look and see, how dense they are. And because these buildings have to be covered by the radio system. And then a whole other slew, 45 or 47 other buildings, we've asked them to evaluate and see if the radio system that they're proposing would penetrate those buildings in their opinion. So Chad did a great job of setting up these mandatory building surveys and providing all the information. And so those vendors are they're probably going to come by the courthouse between today and Friday. They're going to go to the JPs in all the precincts. They're going to go to the East Annex building. They're going to the high schools at all the major high schools throughout the county to look at those. So that's in process. Because those surveys are happening today through Friday, yesterday was actually the deadline for questions on the RFP, but we felt like these surveys were really important. And so we decided to extend the deadline for questions to next Monday, to let those vendors do their surveys. If they have any questions, to give them a chance to ask those questions and us answer those questions via another addendum if necessary. So because the questions were extended out, we decided to move the deadline of the RFP from the 21st of June, that's a Tuesday, to the 24th, which is Friday at 2:00. So that gives them just a few extra days, 3 extra days to work on their proposals. Let's see here. We talked about developing the NDA for the selection committee. I think that was talked about today in the commissioner's court as well. So the next steps are really, again, answer more questions that come in for the RFP. The proposals are due for the RFP on June 24th at 2 p.m. That's a Friday. We'll continue to work and get quotes for the utility upgrades at the dispatch center. Again, once proposals come in, we'll start reviewing those with the committee and we'll have those vendor presentations. And then shortly thereafter, there'll be a selection recommendation brought to the court. And once that selection's made, then the contract will be executed or worked on with that selected vendor and get them under contract and move this project forward. Shortly thereafter, once that contract is signed, there will definitely be a purchase of some critical equipment for the dispatch center. That order will be made because that ECCOG money has some timeframes associated with it, and we want to get that going ASAP. So that's part of the reason for the interlocal agreement as well that was approved today. So that's all my update for today.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, Mr. Bass, you have anything?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have the RFP out for the preservation and conversion of the historical records. It's due next Wednesday. The 15th is the due date for the RFP. Yeah, as far as if I'm understanding correctly, the scoring committee does it need to be approved by the court for this RFP also, or is that unique to the dispatch equipment?
I don't.
For what now?
For the file conversion, the archiving and rehabilitation of
Yeah. No.
it would just be like Sandy and Aaron.
Extra.
Yeah, I see your point. Why one and not another? And I think it was just, I think we went above and beyond on approving this one
Okay.
because of the amount.
Yeah, and this is a lot less technical in scale also, in addition to small amounts.
Okay.
We were gonna ask him to check on our training to see if it was covered.
Yes, sir. Are you referring to the second tranche of funds?
No, we're gonna send Commissioner LaPrade to some training on dispatch training.
Okay.
So somebody on this court understands the dispatch center a little bit more. And he's got the training covered, and we were gonna pay the expenses of the travel and the lodging. And the question came up in court, is this something that would be covered under these ARPA funds? So.
Yeah, I would say no, off the top of my head, because I don't think that would qualify as a provision of government services.
Thank you.
I'll say no right now, but I'll double check with my team just to verify that my interpretation of that is incorrect. I'll check with management and such. Yeah, if we could relate it to this project, but yeah, I'll double check on that and email out you my answer.
Anything else? Do you have a question, Chad? Okay. Anything else, guys?
We're gonna have to create a line item in our budget for county business. And then that's why we can get away from road and bridge. That's the only way we're gonna be able to pay something like this. Because all commissioners, you know, they handle county business countywide. So,
We have a commissioner's court budget.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, guys. Thank you for attending. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye, thank you.
Commissioner's Court budget. That's what we need to,
Just have a post and all, well,
that's what we need to take it. We need to.
That wouldn't have fit in there.
We don't have a line on training.
Huh?
Sending him to training for,
If it's county business, yeah.
I think it all come on a road and bridge.
I
I think it'll be general fund. That's where it comes from. You got it, don't worry. Okay, we are adjourned. Oh, well, is there a motion? It's workshop. Second. We're adjourned. That's where it comes from, Tim. I'm trying to keep it, I'm trying to plug that hole in that fire. That's some of that money Sandy had his.
Oh, that's it.
Good saying.
Me and Sandy.
You're in the boat with her.
Yeah, trust me, I know. We're in that boat, ain't we, Sandy?
Yeah. That's good.
that's the court there.
Who made it?
Everybody what?
No.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
The judge made the motion to adjourn? Who's that?
Yeah.
And I made the motion,
He's trying to do both.
I seconded it, and then I voted against it. That's for Mr. Proctor. Jason. From UT.
Hell,
Well,
no, he's, don't say that, he's Christians.
Christus. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah. We got some stuff in common.
Yeah.